All right, so now we've got our thing colliding with the walls. We need it to have some gravity so that basically it's constantly falling down. So that's relatively easy. The colliding with the ground is going to be a little bit harder. So let's go ahead and just add some gravity first, and then we will go to that. So I'm going to go to Actions, and we got to make a variable to hold our gravity. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a variable, and we'll just call it gravity multi, or gravity multiplier, and it will be a number. And I am going to go ahead and make it 1.5 equals 1.5, okay? And that's just playing around with numbers. You can change this. If you make it smaller, obviously it's going to be more floaty. If you make it larger, it's going to be, it's going to fall down quicker, all right? So to do this, what we got to do is basically is add the gravity to our thing here. So it's got to, where are you? Okay, so let me see, I got this. I'm thinking I'm going to put it before this hit test point. I'm going to put it, so we have this thing that's constantly adding this part here. If you remember, this is the one that is dividing it, so it's like our friction on the ground. I'm going to put it after that one because it's kind of in the same category as that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, we're going to say that the where are you at? I had it a second ago. Yeah, that the do I have it up here actually? Hang on a second. So I have X speed, but I don't have Y speed. So let's go ahead and we're going to put that above this one too. So we're going to do variable Y speed. Okay, so Y speed is basically going to hold our up and down speed, and this will also be a number, and that will equal 0, because obviously you're going to start off with no speed. And all we're going to do is we're just going to say that Y speed is going to be plus equals the gravity multi. Okay, and then if we control enter, I'm going to get an error because I did something wrong. Access of undefined gravity multi. Okay, I misspelled something. So where are you? Gravity multi. That looks okay. Gravity, multi. Okay. Try that again. Alright. And you can see that it is clearly not doing anything. Oh, you know why? Because I'm having that Y speed, that number is going up, but it's never being actually added to the background position. So you see I have background position X, and I add the speed to it, but I never do background position Y. So after this one, I got to do background position Y is going to be, I'm not sure if it's plus or minus equals. Let's think it's minus equals. Minus equals Y speed. Okay. Okay. So that way, because I'm increasing the Y speed here, but I'm not actually pumping it in. So now it's going into the background position Y, and then that background position Y is going to be, applied to the background there. So now he should fall. There we go. Yay. Great. Now, let me go ahead. I'm going to pull him up here, and I'm going to hit Control Enter, and you're going to go doop, and you can see it's not really happening there, huh? He's just falling right through. So here's the problem. The way that we have it set up right now is that, let me put him back, is that we're doing a collision, but we're only testing it. We only told it that when it hits something, not to move left or right. So actually, let me put this back up again, and watch when I immediately start moving. You can't really tell. It'll stop me from moving left or right as I'm running into it, but this doesn't actually stop me from going up and down. Okay. Now I can't actually set that up to do that either, because if I set it up for me to use the same point for left and right, what end up happening is that he's going to fall in, and then right where that point is so it's going to look like his feet are stuck in the ground, right? Now I could put on the bottom like I had before, but the problem is he's making contact. So it also means he wouldn't be able to move left and right, and he wouldn't be able to move down. He would just be stuck there. So what I have to do is make another point that I test just for the ground. This one I'm going to test for the walls. I'm going to use the actual object itself and this point for when he hits the walls, but I'm going to make another object that I'm going to put underneath. That's just going to be a something to check the ground, okay? So we're just going to make another symbol. So I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to make it black. And size doesn't really matter. We're just going to make it like that big, okay? So I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to hit F8, or you go to Modify, Convert to Symbol. Again, movie clip's fine. Go ahead and do the pivot on the center. And I'm just going to call this one ground check. Come on. Ground check underscore MC, all right, for movie clip. Boop. And if I go in the library, you can see there it is. That's great. And we can leave it right there. It doesn't actually matter. And I need to have an instance name so I can interact with it in code. So we're just going to call this one ground check. Okay. Yay. Great. So what I need to have happen is this. I need this thing's position to always be down here. So basically, and I'm going to leave it there. And let me go to the timeline here. Okay. So basically what we're going to do is somewhere over the rainbow here, I'm going to set that thing's position. So where would be a good spot for that? Let's set it before everything else. I'm going to put it up here. Okay. So what we're going to do, all we're going to do is we're going to say ground check, because that was the name that we gave it. That's the instance name, dot x is going to be equal to player dot x, right? So its x position is just going to be equal to the player's x position, right? And we're going to do the same thing again. Ground check dot x, or sorry, dot y is going to be equal to player dot y. Now, there's going to be an issue with this. It'll put it right in the center because this thing's position's right there. So I don't want it just y. I want it to be y, and then I need to add to it. And I don't know how much that should be. You're going to have to check with yours as well. So I'm going to make it, where are you? Player.y plus, let's say 50 to start with, because I don't know, plus 50. And let's see where that puts it. That's pretty close. Let's try 75. Okay, so now that puts it, that's probably a little too low. Let's say 65. Okay, so that's pretty close to where his feet would be. Okay, so you can see what all that's going to do is just going to take that ground check and set its X and Y position to the player's X and Y, but the Y I'm moving it a little bit below. And this is going to be my ground check. And I'm going to test this being colliding with the background. Okay. So kind of similarly to what we did here for this ground hit test point, or the background hit test point against the player, we're going to do another one, but this one's going to be to check against the ground. Okay, so I'm just going to, in between this wall one here and the other, I'm just going to put another bit of code in here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do if background dot hit test point, okay, and this time we're going to test against the ground check dot x and the ground check dot y, and again we're going to set it to true. That's just a flag to say that's what it's doing, and then I'm going to have it run this bit of code. Okay, so we're going to say if it hits the ground, we're going to go ahead and we're going to say like, you know how I have, where is it? There's a variable side check hit. I'm going to go ahead and make another variable that we're going to turn on. That's going to be ground check hit. And again, it's going to be a Boolean. So we're going to turn this on, and we'll set it initially to false. Okay. This will turn on if we hit the ground. We can turn this on, and if we don't, it'll turn it off. And then we'll do just like we did here, where we set it on and off. And then if it does hit it, we're going to tell it what to do. Okay, so we'll go ahead and set that up. So we're just going to say that the ground check hit will be equal to true, right? If we hit, else if we don't hit, ground check hit will be equal to false. Okay. All right. Now, that's all fine and dandy. And if I hit this, you're going to see nothing's going to change. I have that variable, and that variable is going to change, but it's not going to do anything as far as like making it stop. Now I got to use that to actually make it not, to actually make it not stop. So just like the other one, I'm going to do another if statement. We're going to say if ground check hit. So if that's true, okay, you're going to do this. I want the y speed to equal 0, right? So I want it to not, I don't want it to move anymore. I want the y to become 0. Else, I want it to run gravity. So either if it hits the ground, I want the y speed to become 0. But if it's not hitting the ground, then I want gravity to apply. Now right now I have gravity applying no matter what. Where are you, gravity? Right here. No, not this one. Sorry, gravity. Blah blah blah. I don't want this here because what's going to end up happening is if I just leave it like this, it'll stop it, but then it's going to slowly move because it'll stop, and then this will move it a little bit, and then it will stop, and then this will move it a little bit, and it'll keep moving down. So it'll actually, I'll just do it. You can see he's going to hit. See, it's going to look like he's falling through a cloud because it's stopping it each time, but it's also because this runs no matter what. It's not going to work. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to Control X to cut that out. Just so you see again, the y speed plus equals gravity part here, gravity multiplier. I'm going to cut that, Control X. Come on. And then we're going to paste it in here. All right, so right inside the else after this part here. So hopefully you can see that. And then you can see, yay, right? That's great. And then he'll fall if he doesn't hit it. So, yeah, makes sense. So basically, if you're hitting the ground, the y speed is nothing. It's not moving up and down at all. But if you aren't hitting the ground, the gravity is going to apply, which makes kind of sense. So that's relatively simple. Now, we run into a problem here because as great as that is, right? I'm like, ooh, great. I'm finally free, right? Well, crap. I'm stuck. I need to be able to jump, right? So jumping is the next obvious thing that we would need to do, and that's relatively simple as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a couple of things. We're going to get rid of a couple of things and add a couple of things. So right now we have this variable up, left, down, right thing here. I don't need the up and down pressed. I don't need those because I'm not going to use the up and down. You can do whatever you want, but in this case I'm not going to use them. So I'm going to take this down pressed one. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to take up pressed. And I'm going to make it, instead, we're going to call it jump pressed. Okay? Now, that works fine. So wherever it says up pressed, I want to put jump pressed. So I'm going to go down here where we put the key, the thing down here. So keyboard up, and so it says up pressed, so I'm going to say jump pressed is going to be true. All right, and then I don't need this keyboard down. I'm just going to go ahead and grab it from case to the end here, where the bracket is. All right, and I'll go down in this one too. And where's the keyboard down? Get rid of that one. And this is also, and the keyboard up is going to be jump pressed. Okay, so now, still says, okay, there's a couple of them I missed apparently. So line 26 and 30 are still in there. So let's see, 26 and because at the very top. So this will be if jump pressed. And then we don't need the down pressed one. Okay. Okay, let's see now. There we go. So now if I hit the up arrow, it's not going to do anything because I don't have it hooked up to anything. Forgot about that. Okay. So that's fine. Now, so I got it. So now that all the ups are jumps instead. So I'm just going to say, just because it makes more sense. But instead of testing for keyboard up, I would rather it be the space bar. So I'm just going to do keyboard dot space and keyboard. Now you can do whatever you want. If you want to just keep everything as the left and right arrows and all that business, I like space bar better. I think it just makes more sense. So thusly I'm going to use that. Okay. Now the problem is, like, so it's going to be testing and it'll know if it's hitting it, but right now it just does background.y plus equals 5, which doesn't really work as far as jumping is concerned. we need to do something a little bit different than that. Okay, so it's pretty easy. Instead of, so we're going to keep it like this, but we're also, and we're going to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and do, did I do Y speed yet? So I have X speed up here. Oh, there's Y speed. Okay, so I do have Y speed. Okay, all we're going to do is kind of like what we did here. I'm going to do Y, speed. Let me get the cursor out of the way. Y speed, right, is minus equals, and then I have to choose an amount. So actually, I think I just want equals, equals minus 10. All right, so that's how strong the jump is going to be. So let's just, so you're going to notice it's a little bit different than this. Notice I did minus equals here. The reason why is that unlike these where I want it to increase as I'm holding it down, it's going to keep moving, going faster and faster. I want to just do a pop, that when I hit the button, it goes boop, it jumps up immediately as a certain amount, like, you know, so it pops out, because that's how jumps actually work. So now, if I press the space bar, you can see, right, it does that. Now, there's an issue though, because watch, if I hold it, ooh, he's flying. Because basically, I can hit it as many times as I like. There's nothing to stop me, all right? So he should only be able to jump if he's touching the ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do jump pressed and two ampersands, mean and ground check hit. So basically it's going to say, okay, if you press the jump button and the ground check here, if ground check hit is true, so if I'm touching the ground, then you can go ahead and add that. So let's do Control Enter. And you can see now it's not a really super great jump. So I got to change the amount of that. So let's go ahead and, you know what might be cleaner is actually, instead of using, see I hard-coded a number here. And I mean I did it here, but it's generally a good idea to not hard-code numbers. I guess I did it here too. It'd be better if I actually had a jump, like multiplier maybe we'd call it. So let's, maybe after the, yeah, we'll do it right here. We're going to do a variable and we'll call it jump multi. It's not really a multiplier. And we'll make it a number. And I'm going to set it equal to, let's say, 25. Because 10 was super weak sauce. And I'm just going to go ahead and make this negative. And we'll call it jump multi. Now, oops, multi. Because I put a minus in it, it's going to actually invert the number. So even if I write 25 up here, it's going to make it minus 25 down here. Alright, and so now I can jump. Yay! And you can see the bump works there, and we more or less got the platformer more or less kind of working at this point. So it'd be cool to have some other, oops, we can still slip through now and then. You might need to go through and even make these larger. If you see it slipping through a lot, try making it bigger. The other thing to do is to make it so that your speed isn't so high. So so watch, if I jump from up here, oh, work that didn't, okay, I was a little bit nervous. The faster you go, the more likely it's going to be that you're going to go through the object. So it's just one of those things. So you might need to fix some of that, but I'm going to call that good for right now. Okay, it's not perfect, but it will suffice. So for all intents and purposes, we more or less got the platforming kind of aspect working. What I'm going to do next is probably go through and just do some graphical stuff to make it look a little bit better. I think what I'm going to do next actually is go through and do the animation aspect of this guy.